Hey, what is going on? This is Chris Colgan with eXp Real Estate, and in this video, I'm gonna talk about the biggest mistakes I have seen Northern Virginia and DC area home buyers make in my, short 19-year real estate career. Yes, I have been selling real estate since I've been 21 years old here in Northern Virginia, but let's just get right into the video. One of the biggest mistakes that I see Northern Virginia home buyers make, especially when they're new to the area, is they don't check out the commute times. Meaning, let's just say you're looking in Arlington, that's where your job is gonna be, and you say to yourself, you know what, I really like Manassas, Virginia, it looks like a cool town. I wanna be commuting every day to Arlington, 9 to 5, and you don't actually test out that commute one day to see how bad it actually is, what the different public transportation options are. Can you use an easy pass to get there on Route 66? Or maybe let's just say you're driving into DC and you don't look and see what the VRE train does or how long that will take. So one thing I always suggest, especially if you're an out-of-town buyer, is fly here one day. We'll give you a tour of the area and we will suggest one morning, wake up at 7 or 8, drive the commute, check out different commutes from different areas to the place you're gonna be working, and that will help you solve that issue and find a great place to live. So that's one of the biggest mistakes I see. Number two, the biggest mistake I see people make is not being open-minded to different areas. Meaning, let's just say their job is in Alexandria or Arlington or Herndon, and they say, you know what, I just want to live there, and they don't check out other areas. Or maybe a coworker says, check out Ashburn, Virginia, but they don't check out Gainesville, Virginia. When you come to the area and you're looking around, definitely drive around to different areas and become open-minded. And you might like different style of houses, because some areas like Ashburn are nothing but newer houses, but maybe an area like Knoxville, Virginia is a lot more wide open. There's a lot more space, older Rambler style houses, or maybe a town like Stafford works for you. And the commutes here can be really different and vary, but they can also be very similar as well, depending on the area. So don't just hone in. And one of the things I always laugh about is people hit me up all the time from this YouTube channel to buy a house, and they'll say, guess what, my job is in Reston, Virginia. I want to live in Reston, VA, and they said, can you suggest some areas? I threw a couple areas out there, and they're like, nah, I think I'm gonna stick in Reston. And by the time we're done, we're far out, like a town like Warrenton, Virginia, or even Front Royal, Virginia, some of the outlying suburbs. So people, once they start to realize and they get here on the ground, they definitely check out and fall in love with other areas. So don't be set on one area. You can definitely watch this channel. I pretty much showcase every area possible. So that is one of the big mistakes I see people make. A third mistake is they say they don't want an HOA, and you know what, some of these people, you can literally waterboard them and they will say, I will not live in an HOA. But most neighborhoods around here are going to have an HOA, even if it's an HOA that's not very well practiced. The reason why they do that is mainly because of road maintenance. We get snow here, we get different kinds of the roads need to be upkept, and VDOT, the Virginia Department of Transportation, for the most part takes care of those public roads. But some of these private roads, they don't. So you need somewhat of an HOA to come in and take care of that road, and everybody there, all the homeowners have a road maintenance agreement where they do that. Or if it snows, they have a certain contractor they hire. And also maybe that HOA has simple rules like you can't have a Camaro from 1969 on blocks sitting in the front yard with the hood up, and there's like little things like that that will decrease the values, but that HOA is not gonna complain about your work truck. But yeah, you might get into a gated golf community that's not gonna let your work truck there, and that's gonna be a strict HOA. But for the most part, there are HOAs here, and they're not always 100% bad. Sometimes, yes, you can get people on an HOA board who literally think they are the president of the United States, and they're not, and that can be a nightmare. But keep in mind, most of these neighborhoods are gonna have HOA as well for trash service, because they don't want 20 different trash companies coming in and out, and they'll just hire one service. So keep in mind, most likely you will be in an HOA and you will settle on it. And if you absolutely positively do not want one, then maybe like a Front Royal, Virginia, to like a Knoxville, Virginia, parts of Bealton, Virginia will be good for you. But other than that, most places are gonna have an HOA. Another big mistake, yes, I can't believe that some people make mistakes because they're not perfect like me, is they don't find an agent like myself who knows a lot about Northern Virginia, DC, and Maryland. And while I'm at it, real quick, can you subscribe to my channel? And if you're thinking about buying a house, text me anytime at the number below or email me, chriscolgan@colganteam.com. go ahead and subscribe. I'll wait. I'm actually not wearing a watch. I just did that for show purposes. But definitely subscribe to my channel. We talk about all things Northern Virginia home buying, and most of my buyers come from this YouTube channel. But one of the things is you gotta have an agent who really knows the area. You could get an agent who's licensed in West Virginia, Virginia, DC, Maryland, Delaware, and they drive all the way out here and they just don't know Northern Virginia. So they might recommend you a neighborhood or a town that doesn't suit you well, or an area that's not close to your job, and the commute is a nightmare. So when you're interviewing an agent, especially if you just go online and you don't click, you just click whatever agent or whatever house and you get whoever, ask them like, how well do you know the area? What neighborhoods would you suggest? You know, what price range would you suggest? Find out questions like that. How long have you lived in Northern Virginia? How many houses do you sell a year? How many buyers do you work with? Do you work with a lot of out-of-town buyers? Do you know a lot about different types of loan programs that are common in the state of Virginia? Those are one of the key questions, because I have seen agents drive far, far away who are licensed in Baltimore, Maryland, all the way over here to Northern Virginia, and they just don't know much about the area, and they have the buyer looking in places that don't match at all what they're looking for. So that is definitely key and a huge mistake I see buyers make. Another big mistake people make is on the loan process. They don't get a local loan officer. What I mean by that is someone who lives in Virginia or DC and they really know how loans work here. We have different loan programs, like there's a USDA loan where you can get 100% down, but it has to be in a rural setting, and that lender will know what part of the state that happens. Or we also have a grant program here in the state of Virginia for first-time home buyers, and there's different types of income limits and things like that that make you qualify or not qualify for that program. So the lender really needs to know that information. So if you just call the lender that you saw on the Super Bowl commercial, most likely they're not going to be in Virginia and know all the different rules, laws, different loan programs and all that. We also have a heavy military population here, so they may not be very well knowledge on VA loans or FHA loans even. So keep in mind, definitely know a local lender that you can use here. That doesn't mean a local bank. They can work for a huge national lender, but they're just based here in Northern Virginia. I have several that I work with that a lot of my YouTube viewers have used and have loved. So definitely keep that in mind. Another thing that I see happen is they get an agent who doesn't really know a lot about the different types of loan programs. So let's say you're qualified for a VA loan and they start taking you to houses that wouldn't qualify for a VA loan, meaning the house needs a bunch of work. And yes, it's a good deal, but the seller's not willing to do that work in, and you might not have the cash to pay up front to do all this work to the house. So a VA loan might not qualify, or you get approved for 100% down for a rural development loan and you say, you know what, I want to live in Alexandria, Virginia. Well, guess what? That doesn't qualify. The agent has to know all these different information. They also need to know how to negotiate. Let's say on that loan program you're doing, you need closing costs paid for. So the agent has to know how to negotiate that properly, talk to the listing agent, and figure out the best way to make it so you can get the house, while also having all of your closing costs covered. And that's something that I get done a lot. So make sure your agent knows how to do that and works properly. And a lot of times, you can ask your loan officer, hey, is this a good agent? Do you think this agent can help me? Of course, they're not gonna just bash the agent, but they may say, hey, you know what? Like this agent may be a little bit better, or they'll make sure the agent knows that you need those closing costs paid for, and that they're gonna know what type of out-of-pocket expenses you'll have, like an appraisal, or maybe the home inspection fees. There's certain things that you will have out-of-pocket that an agent will know, and some agents just might not know that, so that can be a huge mistake that you need to watch out for. All right, another mistake that I see home buyers make when they're moving to Northern Virginia is they strictly say, I only want new construction. I love new construction. Yes, you can get your house that you want, build it out the way you want, but keep in mind, you are pretty much always paying a premium here for a new construction property. It's not like Florida or Texas or some of these other states where there's just a ton of new construction. We just don't have that much land here in Northern Virginia like some of these other areas where there's a ton of new construction. So when you do see it, the prices are typically at a higher premium. And honestly, most of the houses here have been built in the last 20 years and they are newer. So I usually tell people, keep in mind, if you're buying a new home, expect to pay $100,000 to $150,000 premium above a resale. And if that's something you're willing to do, that's great. Like I said, again, you can build out your dream home, but that's not always the best way for you. And a lot of these builders, they have where it's like their way or the highway. And again, that's not always the best interest of the home buyer. I can work with you on a new home. I work with like a ton of new home buyers, especially from this YouTube channel. And again, I'm not completely discouraging it, but I would say check out some resale neighborhoods before you completely commit to only new construction homes. So I hope you enjoyed my super quick video on the biggest mistakes that home buyers make when moving to Northern Virginia and buying a house. Even if you lived here your whole life and you're a first-time home buyer, I work with everybody who buys a condo up to, you know, the White House. Okay, I haven't sold the White House, I hope to. Hopefully the government doesn't get in that bad of shape. But you know what, at the end of the day, text me anytime you want, shoot me an email, Chris Colgan at colganteam.com. Me and my team would love to help you find your home of choice. We know the area well. As always, I'll see you at the top or from the top.